Today's video I'm going to be showing you what I have on my palette. This is my studio palette. I use it every day for my professional work. Disclaimer, my professional work involves printing, like mostly print work for books. So the paints that I'm going to be showing you are a mixture of higher grade student paints with some more upgraded, more expensive, higher quality professional paints all the way up to Umber, and I have one from Daniel Smith. I just wanted to put that disclaimer out there because, depending on what type of artwork that you're interested in doing or that you are currently doing, your needs are going to differ as far as light fastness. I'm not particularly concerned with light fastness, so these paints have worked for me for over 3 years. I've thrown everything at this palette and it has never let me down. So this is a palette that I custom put together myself, and I've recently added some new colors, so I thought that we could do a swatch together today of the colors on the palette. There's 22. I do include white. I do use that. Again, disclaimer, my work involves a lot of mixed media, especially on this current project I'm working on. So I do use a lot of white for blending and stuff. But I'm just showing you what works for me. So if you're a beginner, you can see that you don't really need to spend a whole lot of money on your paints to begin with. Everyone does it. I did it myself where I wanted every color available, basically, because I was like, I've got to get all these colors, I felt. So when I first started, I did buy a palette that had like, I want to say like over 30 colors in it. I'll save that for another video and show you my other palettes, but this is my palette I use as my studio palette on a daily basis. And what I did, and it's been a while since I made this, and I've actually added more blues to this, but I made this a while, I want to say maybe about 2 years ago. And the purpose of this was to show I mixed every color with another color from my palette, and I did this graph, and it shows me now whenever I feel the need to go find a certain color that I really like, I look at this and I realize, wow, I've got so many colors to choose from, and that's not even the grays. Another time I'll go into my color swatches, but I use this saves me so much time as an artist too. I use this very close to every project I'm doing, so if there's a certain color or shade I'm needing, I see this and I'm like, wow, okay, so this explains why this palette has been able to suffice for every project I've had for the last 3 years. Okay, so that's explained. So what I'm going to do is, because previously when I first swatched these, it's been several years, I used a different paper than the professional paper that I use. I use Arches. I'm not going to get into paper, but for me, it is probably the number one thing I do not scrimp on. I do not scrimp on my paper. It is the key to me being able to produce quality stuff. Let's just put it that way. I've tried other papers, but this was the Strathmore paper. It's okay to swatch things on this paper and use it for practice, but I find like for me, I prefer to even practice on extra pieces of paper or in a journal that has really good paper in it, because when you start painting on this Strathmore paper and it doesn't control the water, you then adapt to it. You do, but that's the thing, is I want to adapt to the quality professional paper and how it works, so I never have to second guess. Like when I'm painting, I'm in the zone, man. I don't want to have to really think too much. So having a good quality paper, you know what it's gonna do 95% of the time. You can say, you know, when my paper's wet, it's going to act like this. And you get, that's another reason why I think I've stuck with a particular palette for the last 3 years too, is you get so used to your materials that it really becomes almost like just muscle memory. And you could get into that creative zone and just create. So anyway, I'm rambling, I know. So back to the palette. So I'm going to create a new card, and we're going to do some swatches together, and I'm going to go over the tubes of paint so that you can see where each brand is. But first I'd like to do the swatches and get that drying so that we can go over each of these individually. Alright, I'll be back. Okay, so here I am just labeling them. I've made 3 rows. 7 on the top, 8 in the middle, and 7 on bottom. So I'm just going through and labeling them. I've got the top row done, the second row here is my green gold. So I'm going to continue to label. I've already messed up. That's not green gold. That's sap. Well, okay. I'm just going to mark that out because I'm not about to redo that. So I'm going to put sap right there. Then we have our Viridian. I hate when I mess up, but this is just going to be for my personal palette to glance at, and I think it'll be fun. I think it will be good. Okay. Viridian hue. I'm not gonna mess with it. And white needs, we're gonna go titanium. Titanium. Cad red. Alizarin crimson. I don't need to put crimson because I know what alizarin is. Ulta ultra marine, blue, and this is the manganese blue. Well, how did I skip one? Yeah, where's my purple lake? I missed one. Dang it, man. I just can't get this thing right. Well, I'll tell you what I'm gonna do. I'm just gonna move it in the palette to the end. It don't matter. I am not redoing this. So we're gonna do the manganese, and then we're gonna grab my handwriting is deplorable. Yes, I have a purple lake on here. And we're going to move that lake to the end here. So I will pop that out. Oh Lord, is that messy under there or what? Ugh. Okay, I don't know if that pan's gonna move, but there we go. Alright, problem solved. Right? Right. Okay. There we go. Problem solved. Alright. Now, where did my purple lake go? Well, it's right there. I don't know why I didn't have that there. Okay. Now, let's go on down to the bottom row. Now we have our green gold. We have our transparent red oxide, trans red, ox. That's what I put. Okay, and next is the Indian red. Trans yellow ox, yellow ox, and then we have our burnt sienna, yes, this color here, I do not have a tube, but that is a burnt umber from Cotman. Burnt umber. And the last color is Payne's gray. Oh, love that color. I love Payne's gray. I use that color so much. And I do have an extra tube. Alright, so let's just do some more lines in here. Darken up these lines. I'm not looking for perfection. This is in my palette. Okay. For personal use. You know, everything has to be perfect. Okay, now I will be back and we will start swatching. Okay, I'm back. Oh, I did want to talk briefly about the pen that I use. This is a Pentel, and it's a brush pen. Guys, I use this on like so much. You can get really fine lines with it, or here, let me show you on my old thing. You could get all different types of awesome. It's great. Don't always use it for detailed work. Because when I'm really needing a steady hand, the Micron, I can't say enough about them. These things, if you're just getting into art, guys, invest in some Micron. You will be so thrilled. They are waterproof. So is the Pentel. You have to let them dry though. So I've let this dry for, I don't know, a good 15 minutes. And we're going to get to swatching. Okay, so what I use for my paintbrush, if you can see that, it is the silver black velvet. You guys, these brushes, so worth it. They are a budget-friendly brush. They can get expensive, but I've been able to find them on Jerry's and Amazon, extremely reasonable prices. Definitely invest in good paper, good pens, and good brushes. Okay, I'm getting off that soapbox. Now let's get back to this. Here we go. We are going to go ahead and start with our lemon yellow. To make sure our lemon yellow is not contaminated, I'm just going to wash away that first layer. That helps. And now I'm going to get a good bit on here. And I've put a line down the middle so I can test out the transparency on this, and as well as my little bit of the gradation. I don't really, when I'm keeping this on my palette, I'm not really looking for the gradation as much as I am what color I'm working with. And that one was the Lukas Lemon Yellow. Lukas Aquarelle 1862. This is a real, I'm happy with Lukas paints. That's all I can say is I'm very happy. They're budget friendly. Okay, the next one, I think I'm going to skip one and go on to the Carn Red. I hope I don't mess myself up doing it this way, but I just do not want any kind of running in here. So we're going to move on to the Lukas Carn Red is the next one. Okay. Help if I spray my paints down a little bit. Some water on them. Again, I want to get off any of that. So I want my color to be nice and fresh here. So the Carn Red, Carmine. I call it Carn. It's Carmine Red. I swear, I make up my own names for stuff all the time. Y'all, I haven't swatched paints in a while. I'm liking this. I forgot how relaxing this was. To just swash them, you know. Like I said, I'm not so much looking for the... But this is a good practice routine. Alright. We're going to move on to Permanent Blue. This Permanent Blue is also from the Lukas line. Originally I bought a pan of it, and then I liked it so much. I mean, that has lasted me like over 2 years. But I liked it so much that I went ahead and bought a tube of it so I can just replace it as I need it. So here we go, our Lukas Permanent Blue here. Blue, this, I love this color, you guys. This is like probably one of my favorite colors on the palette. You know I'm going to say that about every color, right? That's how much I absolutely, I throw everything at this palette and it just seems to keep, and I know that's transparent. That's pretty transparent there. It's a beautiful transparent blue. It is my absolute favorite here. Alright. Prussian blue is next. Here we go. Here we go. I told y'all I was going to say this about every color on my palette is the Prussian blue. This one's from M. Graham. I cannot say enough good stuff about M. Graham. My purpose, really, honestly, is to eventually replace most of these. I don't know, I do like the Lukas, but I would just love a whole entire palette of these colors, or ones very similar to it, just a whole palette of M. Graham. But I'm slowly building up to that, you know. I'm started out doing this on a budget, you know. And so, over the last 3 years, it's been a big experimentation of what works for me, of course, you know. But I'm lucky that I learned pretty early on before I spent way too much money. I was more of a limited palette kind of gal. I guess you could say that. Okay, that's dry. So I'm going to come in with my Naples. The Naples is Lukas Payne. Yeah. And I think these might actually be a higher end student grade. I'm not sure. I'd have to look that up. But hey, they work for me. They've been great for me and all my professional needs of illustrating children's books, and now the current project I'm working on, which is also going to be print work. It's just been a wonderful palette for me. And I'm so glad to have y'all along for this swatching. I've been needing to do this. You know, when you do this as work on a daily basis, You do. You put off the smaller things, you know. You do. But these are, swatching is a really good exercise. But I spend most of my time these days just working at it. It's nice to have those days that you just get in here and play. So I'm doing the wine red. Okay, so the wine red is actually Turner, which is a budget friendly. I would say that they advertise as professional. I haven't had a huge problem with them, but I do feel like they definitely have more fillers and stuff in it than, say, the honey based. I think, you know, I am going to start weeding these out, but I do like the colors. So, like I said, eventually I want to start replacing these colors with the Graham, but I do not waste stuff, and I'm going to use what I've got first. I've slowly been trying to try different colors, and the latest one tried is the Manganese blue, and I'll talk about it later. In more detail, because this is a hue, and according to my friend pen holder, well, I say friend, he's an artist that I follow on YouTube and often watch his live streams, and he explained to me that the hue is not the same. And see, this is the Cerulean. Let's get back on subject here. The Cerulean is from M. Graham. Again, oh my gosh, wonderful paint. Wonderful paint. This is the most, this color, even though it is not completely transparent, because I feel like, okay, see, if you come in with it, it is not completely, you can water it down and make it more, but it's a little bit opaque, and that's okay. There are times where I absolutely need something a little more opaque, but for the most part, I really like the transparency of the paints. Now you can see why I've put this line across here, because as it dries, you'll be able to see, oh, this isn't completely transparent. Okay, so moving on, let's go into our sap green. This is a Cotman color. You know, Cotman kind of sometimes gets a bad rap, but I really like them. The only thing I can say bad about this color is this brand is that it can be a little bit hard to get enough. It's like I have to use more of it. But for the price point, you know. For the price point, what you gonna complain about? I actually really love the color of sap green. I know, I mean, for a long time I didn't I would just mix my own greens, but I found that the sap green, I use it so much. It's such a nice, convenient color, you know. And I have written down formulas that tell me what colors make the sap green, like the green gold and the Viridian together will make a sap green. So, but I have not tried Imgram's greens. I think that may be my next ones that I replace, but I still have quite a lot left, so I'm going to go ahead and do the white. And this is the Imgram Titanium White Opaque. So, yeah, I use white a lot of times when I want to blend something or fade it out. I use it a lot more than I originally thought I would. You're not probably gonna see that. And again, it's kind of one of those that's just kind of difficult to get out, and I probably shouldn't do that to my brushes, but okay. You guys, I for the most part, I take really good care of my brushes, like rinsing them out, not leaving them sitting in the water and all that, but I use the same brushes for my watercolors and gouache, which I don't think I'll be getting into today. I might briefly show it to you, or I may wait to a different video to show you all my palettes. But, you know, they say you're not supposed to do that. I do it, you know. Alizarin. Alright, moving on to Alizarin Crimson. And this is a Cotman color. I love Alizarin Crimson. When I used to do oil paints, which that's originally how I started out when I was 17, was doing oil paints. And I did oil paints for years. This Alizarin Crimson is one of those colors that mixed with cobalt blue, you learn early on, is just such a nice color. Okay. And again, I haven't tried any other brand of this. I guess, you know, I would be willing to, of course. I think I would love to try the Imgram of this as well. Okay. Manganese. Okay, now we can get to our manganese story. Okay, so this manganese blue is from Daniel Smith. And I just recently got this, like just a few weeks ago. And it is a hue, which my friend Pintel, Dan is his name, and I can link his channel down below, give him a shout out. Hey Dan. He explained me that the hue is just not the same as the original. Now he sells the original. I believe he makes his own. He makes his own paints and he sells it. I was thinking about maybe trying one of his. Let's see, is it the color that I'm not liking? Because I love blue, so to me it doesn't, I'm attracted to the color. I don't think it's the color. And I've never used Daniel Smith before. This is my first time trying the Daniel Smith, believe it or not. I've been painting these how many years and never tried the Daniel Smith, but let me lay it down and see if it does what I want to talk about. I just do not always like, I don't know, it's the texture. Yeah, I love the transparency of it, but it gets this grainy look to it. I'll show you when it dries. I'm keeping it on my palette to use up for one reason. Because it makes such an, it is very, very nice for if you're doing blue jeans. I do a lot of characters and people in my artwork, and I have found this does wonderful for a blue jean type material. Alright, now we're going to come back to the Viridian. Oh, this is going to need some water for sure. Viridian is probably that and the burnt umber are the two hardest to lift up out of the palette. Again, it's a Cotman. It's a Cotman, so I don't know if that's the reason. I hear Graham has a lovely Viridian, so I'm probably just going to replace it with an Graham. I mean, as long as this color lasts, it is worth spending like 10 to 15 bucks or whatever for a good quality one. And the way that Graham paints lift up off the palette so easily, it makes a big difference when you're in the middle of something, you know, because time is an issue when you're in the middle of painting. You don't want something to dry too fast. You just know, you don't want to have to stop and like dig it out. Y'all that paint know what I'm talking about. Okay, that was for another rant. Okay, so my next color I'm going to do is the Cad Red Pale Hue. I don't think I've ever used the real Cad Red. I've only ever used a hue, which is good because, toxic stuff ain't good. Now, especially for those that have like cats or something that undoubtedly get up and drink out of your water. I miss my kitty. She passed away a few years ago, but she did. She used to jump up on the table when I turned my back. Before I knew it, she was drinking my paint water. So it is important to try and use supplies that are not toxic to your pets. Right now I have little puppies. Well, I say puppies. They're always my baby. But I have one dog that she's an Australian Shepherd, and she's 14 years old, but she's still my baby. Okay, and then I have a mixed terrier that is going to be 3 this year. So next is our ultramarine. You guys, I love this color. Every color I get from Graham, I swear. So this is the Graham ultramarine. Oh, so nice. Look at that. Oh my god. like I needed this today. Just to, so relaxing to me. And you know, I enjoy watching paint swatching on other people's channels as well. It's just so relaxing. Alright. Oh, I love it. Oh, why? That's granulating. And I love it. That not the same type of granulation. I'll show you closer later. I'm going to get up close to the swatch card once it dries. Here we have a purple lake, and this is a Cotman color. Okay. Pretty color. It's another one of those that it takes a little bit to work it onto your brush. Which isn't really that good for your nice brushes, but to keep having to dig at something. Purple's one of those colors that I just don't know if I even find it necessary for my palette. Because it's so easy to make, you guys. It's so easy to make. Look at how many purples I can make from mixing these colors together. It's just one of those that having one is nice for convenience, but the other shades of purple I just assume mix. So my next color is the green gold. I'm gonna push this up a little bit. And this is from Turner. You guys, I like this color a lot. I use this a lot. Turner's one of those, like especially this green gold. But when you come in strong with it, and then it just lightens to, I don't know what it is about this green gold, but I love it. I love this color. You know? Okay. I didn't mean to get it down that far. But anyway, next color is Indian Red, and this is another Turner color, and I've had no problems with this color either. It picks up nicely, it lays down nicely. I do a lot of glazing. Most of my stuff is nothing but glazing. I mean, that's kind of my style of painting for the most part. And it hasn't given me a lick of problem in that area as far as layering either. So it's just a really nice earth, dirt, soil kind of color. Okay, so burnt sienna, and this again is from the Turner collection, another one of these. And you might think, well, I've got some similar colors here, and I do, but each has their place. So this is the burnt sienna. I'm going to concentrate in a minute. And again, I use a lot of earth tones because I also do a lot of scenes that have natural landscape behind it, like trees and forest, like scenes where the little animals go and run and play. Alright. Payne's gray. I cannot say enough about this color. It was my very first M-gram color. I have a confession to make about it. So I ordered it and it said that it had come in the mail. And I was like, well, I didn't get it. So I waited 3 days and I still didn't get it. So I went and I had ordered it through Amazon. And Amazon's really good when I don't get something. And I am an honest person. I am. I like to think I am. But anyway, long story short, so they, without question, you know, I contacted them and told them, I didn't get it. I don't know where it's at. And they sent me out another one. It's like, cool. All right. Lo and behold, a few days later, I get the color. And I thought, okay, good. Then lo and behold, a few days later, I get another one. And yeah, I just kept it. Thank you, Graham. That was awesome. But you know what? They didn't lose out because they now, well, they have a customer for life. Let's just put it that way. Okay, so we're going with the trans red oxide now, and this is a Turner. So I figured, you know what? I'll keep it because, you know, I'm going to be buying more of it because, like I said, eventually I'm going to have every color. I'm going to do a palette in these colors, but just in M-gram, I think. That would be nice. I know they have these colors, most of them, I know that they may be called something different. I have to do a little more research, and I know I do want the trans oxides. Those I definitely will be getting. And I haven't had any problems with the Turners. I really haven't. Trans yellow oxide. This is a nice color, and I use this a lot as well. It don't look so nice. It look so nice. It looks like, well, we won't go into that. Alright, so trans yellow. And I feel like I need to come in there stronger with it. But it is very nice and transparent, and I love that about it. And it does such beautiful highlights on stuff that you just want to give. Well, it's just really nice. Alright, this burnt umber, I have had, this was from my, I don't have a tube on it, it was from my original Winsor and Newton little travel palette that I bought, and I put that in here. Because I'm more of a studio painter, and with the current situation, I haven't traveled anywhere, so I'm not really a outdoor. I don't want to fight the elements. I don't want to fight the sun. I don't want to fight the wind. I don't want to fight the rain. I'd rather, when I come across something, take a really nice picture of it the best I can, and then later come into the studio and paint that. And I have done that in my travels. when I went to England. But there we go, you guys. Okay, I'm going to set that to the side and let that dry, and we will come back to it. So, let me talk about the actual palette material here for a moment. I just ordered this off of Amazon. This is the Median watercolor palette. It came empty, and I added, originally I was just going to have the full pans, and then I started adding more colors, and I was like, no, but I don't foresee adding any new colors in the future, in the near future, let's just say, because like I said, I'm more than happy with where this palette is at the moment. So I will let this dry and come back with a close-up for you. Okay, I am back, and I have cut my swatch card out, and let's see, you can see that the lemon yellow isn't quite transparent, so it's a little opaque. Cerulean blue is more transparent than, it's pretty well. I mean, most of these are pretty nice and transparent. Here on the titanium you can see a bit on the black line, a little bit on the sap, a little bit on the cad. If you want to get a better look at this manganese right here, this is what I was talking about. It just has a weird texture to it that I'm not a fan of. But even it has its place. Green gold looks good. Yeah, I'm really satisfied with it. And like I said, this palette, these colors have done me so well over the last 3 years that I've professionally been doing painting with watercolors. Well, I hope you enjoyed that video. Thank you for coming along this journey with me, and I hope that you may have learned something. Maybe you know, whatever reason you were here, thank you for being here. I want to encourage you to go ahead and subscribe to my channel if you want more content like this. Occasionally I will be doing paint swatching as well as tours of my supplies I use as a professional artist and all that wonderful stuff, as well as my art painting demonstrations. So, you have a wonderful day, and come on back.